Hello and welcome to this Toolbox Talk, a webinar on supporting parents in the workplace. My name's Sian and I'm a HR consultant here at THSP. So I'll just kind of work through this with you. There we go. So the 1st of June, which was Sunday, was observed as the Global Day of Parents. This day is internationally observed to honour parents and the role they play in society, caring for children and the sacrifices they make for their families. I've just attached the link there. It's a kind of a UN guided day. Organisations should view this day as an important reminder of how to support parents in the workplace. Recent legal reforms here in the UK have been implemented and further reforms being proposed in order to support and enhance family-friendly rights. So currently in legislation, we have flexible working rights. So this is a day one right to request flexible working. Employees can request, I think it was as of April 2024 when the law was changed, can request flexible working from the first day of employment, and they can make 2 flexible working requests within a 12-month period. Employers need to make kind of a strong consideration and there are kind of some strict boundaries of which they should decline these, so it needs to be fair and kind of open for everyone. The grounds to refuse flexible working could be as follows: the burden of additional costs, the detrimental effect on ability to meet customer demand, inability to organise work among existing staff, inability to recruit additional staff, detrimental impact on quality, detrimental impact on performance, the insufficiency of work during the periods that the employee proposes to work, and plan structural changes. So employers need to have a really kind of, fixed view on how to, if they're looking to decline it, because it does need to be fair. So supporting parents in the workplace, so additional family rights that are in place. There is the carers leave, and that was following the Carers Leave Act 2023. Employees are entitled to take 1 week of unpaid leave annually to care for a dependent with a long-term care need, effective from the first day of employment. There's paternity leave. Employees must be the child's father or be married or partner of the mother or birth parent. They must have been continuously employed by the same employer for at least 26 weeks, up to any 1 day in the qualifying week, and employees can take either 1 or 2 weeks leave together in a separate block. And there's maternity pay. So in some cases, kind of the leave and pay can be considered differently, and there can be different conditions applied. So paternity pay, employees must be continuously employed by the same employer for at least 26 weeks up to the end of any day in the qualifying week. They must give the correct notice and an average of at least £125 per week. Currently, statutory paternity pay is at a weekly rate of £187.18 or 90% of the employee's average weekly earnings. So it's whichever is the lowest. So maternity leave. So they must be defined as an employee, not a worker, and have worked for the employers for at least 26 weeks, continuing into the qualifying week, so the 15th week before the child is due or the week of childbirth. The employee must give the correct notice and proof that they're pregnant. So that's normally their MAP B1 form. Then the statutory maternity leave is 52 weeks and is made of ordinary maternity leave at 26 weeks and additional maternity leave for the next 26 weeks. Separately, maternity pay. So again, the employee must be continuously employed by the same employer for at least 26 weeks up to the end of the qualifying week. Again, they have to give the correct notice and earn an average of at least £125 per week before tax. Statutory maternity pay is paid up to 39 weeks and is 90% of their average weekly earnings for the first 6 weeks, and then £187.18 or 90% of the average weekly earnings, whichever is lower, for the next remaining 33 weeks. There's parental leave. So employees can take up to 18 weeks of unpaid leave per child up to the child's 18th birthday. Employers who have been employed for at least 1 year and have parental responsibility for a child under 18 eligible. There's adoption leave and pay. So employees who've been continuously employed by the same employer for at least 26 weeks by the week they were matched with a child and have given the correct notice and proof of adoption or surrogacy and earn at least £125 a week before tax. The statutory adoption leave is 52 weeks, similar to maternity, and is split as 26 weeks of ordinary adoption leave and 26 weeks of additional adoption leave. Statutory adoption pay is paid up to 39 weeks and is 90% of the employee's weekly earnings for the first 6 weeks, then £187.18 or 90% of average weekly earnings, whichever is lower, for the next 33 weeks. So very similar to maternity leave and pay. There's shared parental leave and pay. So both parents would have to share responsibility with the child at birth, and for both parents they would need to be eligible. They must have worked for the same employer for at least 26 weeks. As per the, like I say, recent legislation, so employees on maternity, adoption or shared parental leave are protected from redundancy during their leave period and for 18 months following adoption or birth, and that was following the Redundancy, Pregnancy and Family Leave Act 2023. So recent legislation that came into force in April this year was the Neonatal Care Pay and Leave Act. And following the implementation, this supports parents of babies who are admitted into neonatal care within 28 days of birth. Neonatal care leave is a day one right, and employees must have a baby born on or after the 6th of April 2025, be parents of the child, and the newborn must be admitted to neonatal care within the first 28 days of life and remain there for a minimum of 7 consecutive days. So the right to the pay is slightly different. It requires 26 weeks of service and earnings on average at least £123 a week before tax, but this also tries to mirror the entitlement to maternity and shared parental leave pay. There is also the statutory parental and bereavement pay and leave. So employees are entitled to 2 weeks parental bereavement leave. The right applies to all employed parents who lose a child under the age of 18 or suffer a stillbirth from 24 weeks of pregnancy, irrespective of how long they've been with their employer. So this leave is a day one employment right. The statutory bereavement pay is eligible. So again, similar to neonatal leave and pay are separate things. The bereavement pay is eligible to employees who have 26 weeks of service and is paid at the statutory right on 90% of average weekly earnings, whichever is lower. So Labour have brought in place or proposed the Employment Rights Bill, which is legislation proposed by them to be implemented over the next few years and has been designed to enhance existing employment rights. This includes proposed improvements to family rights and leave. So proposed changes as part of the family-friendly rights in respect to the Employment Rights Bill. So the government are proposing day one access to paternity and parental leave. So the bill will propose to remove the existing qualifying service periods for paternity leave. Obviously that's currently 26 weeks. And unpaid parental leave, currently 1 year, allowing employees to take these leaves from the start of their employment, so from day one. They're proposing to broaden bereavement leave. Bereavement leave provisions are likely to be extended, potentially including a day one right, because a lot of these they are looking to remove the qualifying periods. So bereavement leave, they're looking to make this a day one right for employees who experience the death of a family member and for pregnancy loss before 24 weeks. They're looking to propose more flexibility with paternity leave. The bill may allow employees to take paternity leave and receive pay even after they've taken shared parental leave, providing more flexibility for families. Other proposed changes possibly, and currently there are no dates for this. They're proposing a lot of these possibly 2026, but at the moment these are all just proposals. There's nothing been set in stone as yet. So they're looking at further protection against unfair dismissal. So the bill aimed to strengthen protections for pregnant women and new parents returning to work, in addition to the recent redundancy rights. This possibly including extending the period of protection after maternity leave or even longer. They're looking at the reasonable refusal of leave requests. So the bill is going to look to kind of strengthen up flexible working requests. It may require employers to provide a reasonable and justified explanation for refusing an employee's request for flexible working or leave. They're looking to the review of parental leave. It plans to review parental leave system further in the future. Again, nothing set in stone yet, but it is something on their list. The consideration of paid paternity leave. So the government may consider introducing a statutory right to a period of paid, protected and non-transferable paternity leave for all employees. So for companies, the benefits to companies of employing parents and supporting them with flexible working. There's diverse skills and experience. So parents often bring valuable skills such as time management, empathy, conflict resolution and multitasking. By supporting employees who are parents or caring responsibilities, companies will have a reduced turnover. So their employees are more likely to stay with a company that accommodates their family needs. There'll be increased loyalty. Parents supported with flexibility tend to demonstrate higher commitment and engagement. Outcome-based work. So flexible work encourages performance based on results rather than hours, often leading to higher efficiency. There's also the argument for reduced burnout. So employees with more control over their schedules are less likely to experience stress and burnout. So what can companies do? So there are the options for flexible working arrangements. Obviously, people putting in flexible working requests, where possible, hybrid work options, making it easier for parents to be able to take their children to school, to childcare. I know that personally myself makes my life a lot easier. There's also the options of job sharing where applicable. Paid parental leave. I know that's not always an option for some companies. They have to maintain the statutory, but any kind of additional payments are always kind of appreciated, and support with returning to work. We have also done some work here looking at people who've sadly dealt with kind of baby loss and child loss. So looking at where support can be given for employees coming back to work with that. There's childcare support and health and wellness benefits. If companies have EAP programs and things they can offer to help parents. There's building a culture of understanding and inclusion, not making assumptions, not assuming that parents can't bring just as much to the workplace as anyone else, just in case, even if they work less hours or work flexibly, it shouldn't be seen as a negative. Companies should have clear process and policies, not just about the statutory, but very clear about what family rights are offered, and good communication as well. People shouldn't be left out if they work flexibly. Everyone should be included. Obviously at THSP, we're happy to support and provide guidance to companies regarding supporting their employees with family leave policies and rights. We offer our clients kind of policies and guidance, and toolkits as well, and obviously e-learning training, particularly supporting line managers so they can give guidance and understanding of how to support their own employees. These are a couple of links to some good sites. Obviously, the government has all the details regarding the statutory rights on offer. Working Families are a really good site as well, and they've been doing quite a lot of updates regarding the Employment Rights Bill, which recently had its second reading. Then there's Mind and Inclusive Employers, who also give support for companies on how to support parents and carers as well. Do I have any questions? So recording of this webinar will be put up, and I think it's also on LinkedIn as well. But if anyone has any questions, just send them over to THSP. But yeah, thank you very much for attending. Thank you.